Or they, when they really lose sight of any hope at all, they turn to drugs and crime.
Dan works, but unfortunately Dan's in a position where he doesn't make enough money to actually rent any place. So Dan's in his trailer. You work, right?
Yeah, I work
Full time?
full time,
Full
40
time?
hours a week.
40 hours a week. How many people do you know that are in the same situation as you are?
Just the people up and down Gold Street.
So this is in Langford. It's on Goldstream Avenue. And what would you say? There's probably, a dozen people that live just like you do here? And
I think there's about between 20 and 30 people here.
so that's just here, though.
That's
There's
just here. Like we've got some people that live down there, and they're just actually in their vehicles.
So you think if you had a full-time job, don't you think you should be able to live somewhere? Which is
Somewhere.
somewhere. Does anybody care?
Only if I don't move my truck and camper every 3 days, then they give me a ticket.
And what does that do to the money that you have?
It runs it down a bit
Right.
because I'm pretty much living paycheck to paycheck right now, trying to save a little bit.
You're not on drugs.
No.
So, people think that people that are homeless are all just drug addicts, and that's not true. So with the money that you're making, you can afford your truck payment, taking most of the money that you need to be able to live, so you need a vehicle to get around and to tow your house around.
Yep.
So how many times a day did they come and bother you that you're parked here on the side of the road living?
Every 3 days, they just come by and give me a ticket.
And what's that ticket cost?
If I pay it right away, if I can pay it right away, it costs me $35.
So 35
And
bucks
if
that
I
you don't
can't-
have.
And if I can't pay it right away, it jumps up to I think it's $80.
So every 3 days you have to move it. Where do you move it to?
Myself and a few of the others that are parked along here, we kind of have a bit of a system that we move ourselves. Like all we have to do technically is move us 10 feet. As long as we've moved 10 feet,
Wow.
apparently. But it's kind of hard to move 10 feet when you go to move your 10 feet and
There's
somebody else is scooted in there because somebody's giving you 20 feet.
So you move 10 feet and that's enough?
Apparently.
Wow. How did you get here?
I came over here because my ex wanted to live here, be close to her parents. And she was making money, I was making money, and we could afford to rent my mother-in-law's condo.
Right.
Like, between the two of us, and pay all our bills. And when her and I broke up, I got kicked out, and I ended up here.
Anybody can end up in this spot, can't they?
Oh yeah, you could be here tomorrow.
Exactly. How do you survive with food?
Well, the camper that I bought, the propane doesn't work, so I just go up to A&W and I go eat there.
So you're doing takeout food. So you're
Yeah.
not getting really a lot of nutritious food.
No, a lot of empty calories, but it is what it is. I do go to the grocery store and buy things like pre-cooked ribs. I'll buy a chicken and I gobble that down day and a half.
You got a fridge?
It doesn't work.
How do you stay warm?
I've got a little propane heater in there that takes those 1 pound propane tanks, and that's expensive.
Right. Wow. So you mean it's just
I get them in lots of 3, so
Right.
it's not that bad.
right?
But it's still, with the little bit of income that I have left after my truck and my insurance payments, my liquid assets are small. But there's not much I can do about it, so I just make do.
How do you keep such a positive attitude with the situation that you're in?
It's it's my philosophy. It is what it is. Like, I could give up,
Yeah.
or I can just do what I'm doing now and accept it, or I can fight. And there's nothing really to fight, because how am I going to get any better? If I just lose my temper and just start venting, then I'm only damaging myself.
And that's a really good outlook.
And if I give up, I'll be living in a cardboard box.
Do you see yourself getting out of this?
Oh, eventually. And if I have to, I'll draw early pension and immigrate to Portugal. It's cheaper there.
He wants to move to Portugal because it's too expensive to live in Canada. Isn't it sad when our own citizens of our country want to move to another country because it's too expensive to live in this country? It's insane. I mean, Dan, I feel for you.
I've got a company pension that when it comes payable at 67, which is ridiculous, because as a welder, we usually don't live to 70, so I get to draw for 3 years.
So you don't get your pension until you're 67.
67.
Are you on? You're 59, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't have a pension. You could get old age pension next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is what I'm going to draw.
Right. So
because at least if I get old age pension, I can become semi-retired.
Right.
Or I can continue to work. The government cares, but that'll lessen my pension by a little bit. But at least I'll have a little bit more wiggle room.
Is there anything in Langford for people in your situation?
No.
Nothing.
No.
How long have you been in this situation now?
It'll be a year in June.
And before that, you lived in an apartment with your spouse and your child.
Yeah.
And before we got into this little interview, I had a little conversation with Dan, and he said, everybody and anybody could end up in this situation. All you got to do is what? Have what? Something happen.
Just one too many arguments.
One too many arguments. How about lose your job? You end up here.
Oh, geez. I wouldn't want to have to lose my job and then collect unemployment. That's 65% of my income? God, I'd starve.
You don't seem that angry and bitter, and yet I'm sure that there's some anger there.
Oh, trust me, I'm pissed right off because I can't get a break in the country I was born in.
Right.
Like, I called up that BC 211 and they basically just sent me a list. And when I started talking to them, they basically gave me the runaround, or I get to get put on a wait list that can be upwards of 3 years.
For what? For a place to live?
For a soda cracker box, a room, shared bathroom. I'm on heart medication.
How do you pay for that heart medication?
The company I work for, they have a health plan, so it's covered.
So you're lucky.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? We're saying how unlucky you are, but in some cases you're saying you're lucky.
Yeah. So
what a good attitude.
My situation is
temporary?
Yeah. I can't see the end of it yet, but I'm hoping, even if I got to go someplace else. Like, I'm a fully qualified welder, but when they brought in the red seals, I couldn't afford them because now I have to go all the way through all the schooling again. And when they came in with the red seals, I was working for CN and they underwrote it. They got me trained. And now the amount of money I'd have to pull out for student loans, I wouldn't be able to pay it back. I'd be dead before I paid it back.
When do you come 60?
July.
July. So in July you're going to have, do you know how much your OPP?
No, I haven't even looked into it
yet. You don't know.
I'm going to.
So most likely it's probably a few hundred. But that few $100s is going to help in the situation that you're in right now. Where do you go from here, Dan? Where do you go?
Where do I go?
What's your next step?
just one foot in front of the other and hope I see the end of it.
Jesus, what an attitude, man. It's like amazing. I'm shocked. Here you are, your country's giving you kind of the dirty end of the stick, and yet you're still really positive that there's hope. I can get out of here. And
if a person doesn't have hope, they turn to alcohol abuse.
Right.
Or when they really lose sight of any hope at all, they turn to drugs and crime. Because at least there they know that it'll only end up in two ways. Either A, they'll overdose, or B, they'll end up in jail.
So it's either the box or jail.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with how you have this outlook and this that you're going to get out of here. You're going to get out of this mess, and
I either get out of it or I gotta get a bigger camper.
you got to get a bigger trailer. Yeah.
Like even insurance in this province is fucking nuts.
So with the NDP party at the present time, they tell us all about all this help that's out for people in your situation. It doesn't.
But they don't tell the average citizen about all the red tape.
The other people that you know in this situation, are they also in the same age group and they're
No,
men?
actually, there's a guy here. He's probably his mid-30s,
Yeah.
but we've had a few bad eggs turn up here,
Yeah.
and it doesn't take us long to basically get them out of here.
Right. Because you're just looking for some solitude in your life as well.
Yeah, I don't need the local police department to come down here and start roasting us because we've got a really bad element.
Right. Do
Like,
they
we
leave you
just-
alone, the police?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
They understand the situation you're in.
No, I just don't think they want to kick that hornet's nest. Because, in all honesty, what are they going to do if everybody who's in my situation starts banding together and doing what they tried to do in the downtown east side, like marches and this and that? Then, people are going to start looking at the island and at the businesses and the government that runs the island and go, why aren't you doing something about this?
So you don't want to bring heat onto yourself.
And
I understand that.
in all honesty, neither do the homeless people, because
Of course
in
not.
a battle, both sides lose. So we've decided. I think they've decided we'll just leave the status quo. We'll harass them a little bit here and there, but other than that, we'll leave them. As long as they move their vehicles.
As long as they do the bylaw.
Yeah.
What are the neighbors? How do they deal with
The people around here? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Do they leave you alone?
They don't bother us. We don't bother them.
Does anybody come help you? Is there outreach people that come and see how
Nope,
you guys
I
are
haven't
doing?
seen anybody.
So all
But
this.
then again, I'm gone all day. And outreach people only seem to be working in the day. Except if you live in
street.
the bad part. And then you've got people that walk around at night.
It seems like everybody in the motorhomes here, they're all gone because we knocked on all the doors and
A lot of people won't answer because sometimes we'll get harassed.
right.
It's not very often. Like, if I wouldn't have taken today off, I wouldn't have been back here until about 5:30.
Right.
Because I don't get off work until 4.
Right.
Because where I'm working, there is no parking for my convoy here.
Right. So you have to walk.
No, I just hop on a bus.
Okay.
I pay my $5. I get on the bus, go to work, come back, do my little bit of running around, get back on the bus, come home.
It's disturbing when I hear that we have a government in power right now that says they do all these things for people, and then I actually run into somebody that is in the situation and all I hear is there's red tape. So
Yeah, the programs are there if you are patient and willing to sit there 24/7 and basically poke the bear with a stick. I had to fall to this level before you'd even give me a cookie.
And you haven't actually even used the social services in place because it's so hard to get to.
Like, I have to go every couple days and go up to the rec center, pay my money to get in there just so I can use the shower.
It's going to be my next question. How are you looking after yourself that way? So you just answered that. So the rec center, what do they charge you to do that?
I don't know. I don't even look at it. I just
Pay
say,
Other people do the same thing?
I'm not quite sure. I haven't really made a lot of friends here because
It's kind of hard.
yeah, we're cordial to each other.
Yeah.
But you know, we're all off in our own little worlds. Like,
All trying to survive.
yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. Is we're surviving, and in a country like Canada, we should be living, not surviving.
Well, you guys, you heard it from Dan. I'm sure there's others that are feeling the exact same way. Dan, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know the public, they want to hear this stuff. They want to know what's going on out there.
The rich people don't.
Well, I think it's not that they don't. I just think that they're not available to hear the information.
No, I think they don't want to hear it because then they realize I've got all this and I'm making all this every day. I'm making, we'll say $10,000 a day. And
You think they feel guilty?
yeah, so then they have their little dinners and they have their this and that and the other thing. Oh, I'm doing such a good job. And most of the money they raise is just for their next fundraiser.
Yeah, it's. I understand your frustration. This is really tough.
There are no programs out there for men. There's tons and tons of social safety net for women.
But nothing for men.
But men, we've been, lack of a better word, we've been dethroned. Like, we used to run pretty much the whole world. We don't anymore. So, it is, like I said before,
It is what it is. There you got it from Dan. Hopefully, you know what, down the road, there's going to be a better world for Dan and people that are in Dan's situation. But at the current state, with the government that we have into place and what we hear, there's two different realities. And, Dan's reality is not the reality that we're hearing. So other than that, again, Dan, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
you know what? I really wish you the best.